Cowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes,
Are you ready for a break?
absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, season 18, episode number 108. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Wake up over there, Amber. It's time to talk about some Cowboys football. We're presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys, and man, it feels good. Doesn't it feel good, Nick? Me and Nick last night were like, this is the first experience. It's not often after 23 years we get to do something for the first time. That was the first time.
Win at Tampa?
We've had a we've had a road playoff game that we were actually on a flight coming back, and we weren't like, so are we gonna have shows this week? Like, what are we gonna do this week? Like, it was actually like, we got another game. Yeah, draft show.
Well,
you know?
I will say this: I was already on the horn this morning, and I hope I'm not stepping out my boundaries. But I told people, all right, guys, just keep watching tape, man. We'll get that. Keep watching tape.
Yeah.
You know, get your notes together, and eventually they're going to ask us to come in there. But right now,
we got time.
Right now, we're gonna keep playing football. Here is what we're gonna do.
I failed you guys.
Uh-oh.
You know, I told you I was gonna capture a moment for y'all, for you two, and I didn't. We were on the sideline, and we were looking the game, it finished, and all that. And I turned around, and then I see you two. Your faces were like lit up, like your eyes were. You weren't crying or anything.
No, not yet.
No.
No.
But you could see the shine and the emotion. And you guys were talking about it. I'm like, oh crap, let me get my phone. And then I took it out, and as I was about to start snapping, some of the linemen started running down, and we're about to get run over. So I didn't. Next week, I will capture that moment.
I'll tell you what.
So you have it, and you can frame it at your house.
You will get tears of joy if somehow on Saturday the Giants find a way to beat Philadelphia and you find a way to beat San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
That would be tears of joy right there if you can somehow host this NFC Championship. But a lot of work still to be by a lot of teams.
I got a little misty-eyed, Nick, when you came over and gave me a little pound after the game because I was like, this is new. This is different. This feels different. This feels very different.
You know what's funny is being as old as I am, I was at the game the last time, like we've talked about, the last time they won a road playoff game, and it was like 30 years ago. And so you think about it, and you know, all these days of working with the team and stuff, and you never had that experience. So and really, I'm happy for the coach and staff, happy for the players, happy for you guys too. It makes all our jobs so much easier when this team finds ways to win. We always talk about that, but in honesty, it's the truth. It really does make a big difference as you get through this.
Let's dive in because I think we have to start the show talking about, they're actually showing it on TV right now, but last night, Dak Prescott played out of his freaking mind. He goes 25 of 33, 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, not even anything that looked like it could have been an interception, in my opinion. 143.3
The Gallup
rating.
touchdown was close.
Maybe.
It was like, get through there.
That was a little touchy, but you got it there. And then he also had, which I thought was really key, the 7 rushes for 24 yards and a touchdown. We talked last week about the fact that if they were going to win, if Dak was going to be successful, he was going to have to be the Dak that we grew up on, the Dak from 2016 and 17, where he was unafraid to run the ball when he saw opportunities. We saw a lot of that last night. What did you guys see from Dak, and what were your impressions?
I think you said it all. I mean, like Dak, this was going into the game. This was probably the biggest game of his career because of the stage, the way he's been playing, who he's going up with, facing on the other side, and he answered the call. I mean, he had the best game of his career. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this was so important to him in his career, and he went out and carried the team. And not everybody should get the credit. And I mean, more people will get credit, but quarterbacks take the blame. They get the bulk of the credit. Dak deserves it. It was the biggest stage of his career, and I think he had the best game of his career.
I freaking loved everything that he did yesterday. And just like Nick said, he carried the team. And that's one of the things we don't tend to see very much is him fully carrying. And that's what that game felt like. It felt like Dak was being the quarterback that you need him to be. And the fact that he was able to use his feet and be that, like, the type of quarterback that can escape and run and use that ability, which I feel we haven't gotten to see that a whole lot this year either. He's done it a few times, but nothing close to what he did yesterday. I thought it was amazing, and I love the way that he handled the whole week. Coming back after that terrible loss against Washington to finish the season in such a sour note, and then he plays this way, is absolutely impressive and amazing.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bunch on this show, is if you get him a little bloodied, a little muddied, and maybe have a little clump of grass right in the side of his helmet, it kind of makes him, he gets a feel of the game. The line did a tremendous job last night. Tampa pass rush, non-existent. You had to control the middle. They controlled the middle. They withstood an injury to a tackle in the game, and so they shuffled around again. Kind of something they've been doing. Your Hall of Fame tackle at right tackle played really well for you last night, and so those are the kinds of things. But when you look at Dak, it was one of those games where everything that was in front of him, he saw. Everything that opened up, when we're all, you guys in the press box, me in a radio studio, and he's running to his left, and you're like, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. And Dalton Schultz uncovers himself, and you're like, wow, he saw that. He anticipated Dalton Schultz making a move to get away from the corner and make himself open, and Dak fires him the ball. And we're all screaming, thinking disaster. And what does he do? Throws it right to where he needed the throw. That's kind of his game last night, where it was just, and I know I've been super critical of Dak and how you see the field. He saw everything that the Buccaneers were trying to do to him last night.
Yeah, I think the thing for me coming out of that game is you can question a lot of things about Dak Prescott, and trust me, people have over the last couple weeks. Never should anybody question this guy's mental toughness. Because his ability, after all the interceptions that have been thrown over the last, I don't know how many weeks, and all the talk that was going into this game, it takes a really rare person to be able to block out all of that. Because you can talk about him listening to the radio or people like us. He didn't have to do that. No. All he has to do is just go in the locker room and talk to the media, because they're going to keep asking the same questions over and over. What about the interceptions? What are you doing about the interceptions? So it's going to be in his head. His ability to mentally block that stuff out and say, I'm not going to go in a shell and get so conservative that I'm afraid to throw the ball. I'm going to make me even more focused to where I am seeing the field. Yeah. I am making the plays that are there. That, to me, was what I loved about what I saw from Dak Prescott last night. And if he continues to play like that, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, if they don't turn over the ball and they don't have penalties, they could beat anybody in the league. You saw example last night of how this team can play when it's a clean game for them. I mean, the penalties have been non-existent. They finally drew a holding call last night since week 10 against Green Bay. I mean, it's amazing that they were able to get that. But the quarterback did a great job. He really, really did. And I've been critical of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore called a great game. I thought Mike McCarthy, I always am critical of him because I'm like, know the condition of your team. And he knew, he's like, listen, we're playing against Tom Brady. I got to go for it on 4th and 3 here, 4th and 4, whatever that was. And they what a great play call, the double, you get double pick, and then you get Lamb out there, and it's an easy throw for Dak to make. See, that's what this team is capable of every week, playing football like that. And so to the mental toughness part, you're absolutely right about that as well.
Well, and then also credit to all the receivers catching the ball. I mean,
Gallup,
it looked like a pretty clean game from their end too. And, we've seen it all throughout the season where Dak can throw a good pass, but then the receiver just drops it or it bounces off of them or whatever it happens at that time. But I thought pretty much all of them, obviously they didn't catch every single pass, but it looked like a very, very clean game from the receivers as well.
First drive of the game looked terrible. I mean, 2 drops by CD and then questionable drop on T.Y. Hilton, and you're like, Oh, here we go.
But the thing changed pretty quickly.
Because it was like 3 and out, too.
Yeah,
Like-
after all that,
and I think,
things changed.
Brian, that holding call on Parsons, on third down. I mean, I think that was huge too because it showed Parsons. First play of the game for the defense makes a tackle in the backfield.
Yeah. Yep.
Then he gets a holding call, and it's like, all right, so it's going to be that kind of day for number 11.
Yeah, that's the thing with Parsons is you needed this defense to play really, really well, and they completely and talking to people this morning in Tampa driving in, they're like, yeah, we just can't run the ball. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, you throw it 66 times. You go, yeah, but we're not good throwing it 66 times either.
Yeah. Even if you got the goat.
And that's I think that they made it. I think Dan Quinn and the staff made a really big play. When we saw the inactive list, we said, oh, wait a minute, no Gallimore, no Bohanna. Are they thinking about playing the run? No, they knew that they could choke the run just with Hankins and also with Wilson and also with Van Der Esch. They choked the run with those guys, and now it turned into let's get Golston up the field. Let's get Oso-Diggy up the field. Let's get Parsons around on some twist stunts against Donovan Smith, who's not any good. That's kind of their game plan going in. They had Tampa wired offensively for what they needed to do. They really did affect the way that Brady played that game.
And I have a totally different opinion of what was going on in that game against Washington now. I mean, if you think about it, because
just trying things.
Well, I mean, Mukwamu was inactive, didn't do anything. Then he comes back in this game, and they put him right in the center of the field on nickel defense. And hey, you used to be a corner, now you're a safety. You got Stretch Armstrong length. Go make plays, and he did. This is the best game he's ever played.
If you want the Brian Broaddus knee-jerk reaction thing, we talked about the issues of Xavier Rhodes. We saw it in the last 2 minutes of that game when that ball went down the sidelines there, and he was completely he just couldn't catch up. That's the thing. And he played. There were a couple of chances. I mean, he was okay, but playing Mukwamu, I think now maybe that's something going forward. You say, okay, I think Dan is trying his best, and Joe Witt and Al Harrison, those guys are trying to figure out who could play that opposite corner. How can we protect that side of the field? Let's just keep throwing bodies at it and see if we can make it work, because we all know what a big challenge it is coming up, and these Tampa receivers aren't bad. It ain't like playing somebody that's talent poor out there. They did a good job of holding up against these guys, but Dan keeps throwing stuff out there and trying to make it work, and I think that he deserves a lot of credit for this one.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, I want to talk about the offensive line. It started off a bit shaky there in the second series. And then from that moment on, we really didn't hear much from that defensive front in Tampa. We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
The Star District is just steps away from the Dallas Cowboys world headquarters in Frisco. You can visit your destination for excellent dining, premier shopping, and exciting events. Visit thestardistrict.com for more information. You okay over there? Okay.
Got good food in this place.
Yeah, it does. I was just going to say, what's
By
your
the
favorite?
way, I was going to say, off topic, kind of. But the watch party at AT&T Stadium was
crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of people that showed up, wow.
What a nice
Somebody
night.
told me that they think it was like 10,000 people. I was like, what?
They showed a picture. It looked very much like when they show the World Cup and they're like in Argentina.
Right, yeah.
And the fans, they score. It's like the whole, it was all the way to the street.
It's crazy.
In that whole,
amazing.
Tostitos Plaza, it was completely, and you're like going, wow, because when I saw the stage, you guys did the pregame show out there, right? And I was like, that's cool. And then you see the crowd, and you're like, man, it's like a World Cup game.
Well, actually, they did the pregame show back here at the Star, and they were out in the plaza, and there was a nice crowd up there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, in addition to what was happening at the stadium.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, so there were two.
No, right. There were two. There was the watch party, which was at the stadium in the Miller Lighthouse, and that's where I heard it was about 10,000 people.
That one.
And then there was the plaza.
Because that was packed.
No, the plaza wasn't packed like that, but the plaza here at the Star, it had a nice number of people.
Okay,
out there.
I was thinking.
Just wasn't as big as that.
Because I saw the Kyle's tweet, Kyle Yeoman's tweet.
Yeah, no,
about,
that was here
about the stage, and then I'm thinking, and then I saw the crowd, and I went, oh. Okay.
Yeah. That was a secondary crowd.
That was a good crowd.
That was a secondary crowd.
That
was a suburb crowd out here.
We were all
in
the way to the street. I was like,
I think we need to huddle up here. I don't know. Well, of course, Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex, big town. You can have multiple parties.
And that's part of it too. Like I was talking to our director of broadcast, Scott Purcell, and I was like, the thing about it is, if you live in Frisco, I don't know how many people are listening to us know kind of the geography, but if you live in Frisco, you're probably not driving all the way to the stadium for a watch party. But you will drop over at the Star and just pop in with you and the wife, kids, and hang out. Like it's a nice little area.
Bring your chairs.
Sit and watch the game.
Yeah.
So you really can have two different locations where people are popping in, and obviously it doesn't affect the numbers because it had a huge number out there at the stadium. So I think it worked, and it was actually a really
pretty night too.
Really good, really good party. And my hope is that they'll do it again
to see
this
if we do
week
it again.
and maybe next week.
If we do, I'm sure.
Oh, maybe next week we'll be at home. Maybe we'll be playing.
How about your boy Jimmy?
Yeah, that was going to be my next read.
Oh, is that? I'm sorry, I messed up.
No,
by the way,
no,
who's this segment sponsored by?
Blockchain.com.
Hey.
I'll do the.
Get back to Jimmy.
Nick sent me a picture of Jimmy.
Yeah. I told you I know this guy. Like he hung out with me one night when we were in New Orleans years ago.
He looks like with that outfit on.
And that's the exact outfit. That was the exact outfit he had on that night when I hung out with him in New Orleans.
All right.
He told me though this was like noon. He had it like this. It looked like really nice.
It's a tux.
But yeah, it's a pajama. Tux,
Oh, it's
really.
yeah. Oh, it's a pajama tux.
Sort of. It looks kind of hot and flannelly. But he said this is just pregame. This isn't what he's going to wear for the game. I'm like, so this get up is not game.
Does Jimmy go to work with the flannel pajama look?
I don't know.
He might be. He's a fan of the year.
He just does that every day.
He lives in Dallas.
He's got 10 of them, and he just rotates them out.
I guess.
So he's hoping to be the fan of the year, but we'll talk about that in the next break.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the offensive line.
Got to beat the barrel guy at Denver, right?
The Jets guy, the Jets guy, jet fireman.
All right, let's talk about the offensive line. I was a little worried there. Second series of the game, Vita Vea just does a nice little swim move on Biotish
and got
sacks the quarterback.
Martin was like, "Oh, look out!" Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is going to be one of those days. Yeah. And then after that, he went into witness protection. We didn't really hear much more from Vita Vea. And Nick, I think it was you that said that Brian was talking about how Vita Vea is one of those guys where
Nate.
Was that
I think it was,
Nate that said that?
Sure Brian
no,
did.
You said Nate said it. Yeah, that's right.
But we did a show with Nate, and Nate was talking about just lean on him, just keep leaning the whole game.
Oh yeah.
And as the game keeps going, he'll be less impactful.
Nate knows about those guys, the Gilbert Browns,
the
the big old dudes that play inside. He's seen them all.
Yeah, he
seen them
said
all.
just keep leaning on him.
Now, what I want to talk about, though, the offensive line, there was the Cowboys made the decision that they were going to go with Peters at left tackle. They
Surprising.
went with Tyler Smith at left guard, moving Biotish back in. McGovern was not a starter, but the expectation was that they were going to use him as a fullback. What do you guys think of those decisions and kind of how it played out before the injury to Peters?
Kind of surprising, honestly. Just because you didn't know if Peters could play a whole game. Obviously, he couldn't. He didn't. But I think that was more about getting some beef on those running situations with McGovern being the blocking fullback. So that didn't happen. Now he's back to left guard, but maybe Farniok has done this before. Maybe it'll be the time for him to come back. So if they want to go that route again, maybe that's an option.
Yeah, I think to me, we talked about this, and I think we got ahead of this a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. How many snaps does Peters have in that body at 40 years old? They're asking him to pull. They're asking him to do things. He got hurt right before half, and he got hurt trying to just wall the end off on a pass play. I mean, he's leaning, straining, trying to, and then he comes up with the hip problem. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, okay, we used up all his snaps. Mm-hmm. This is what we got. So fortunately it was, and you got to give a big tip of the cap to Tyler Smith to go from guard. And his assignment all week is don't let this number 50 kind of guy eat me alive when he's over me. Play with power, be strong. And now it's like, okay, yeah, now you got to play left tackle. Mm-hmm. So for him to mentally be able to go from that assignment to going out and having to play left tackle, I think it says a lot. And it says a lot about the Cowboys all season long. What have they been doing? They've been shuffling offensive linemen. Sometimes it works. Sometimes. Last night it worked. Mm-hmm. They got back to the configuration that we thought that they were going to go with to start the game. But the thing with Peters, it wasn't getting rolled up or anything like that. It was just a 40-year-old man trying to make an everyday block. Yeah. And you saw a 45-year-old quarterback and what he can look like when it starts to kind of fall apart for you too.
Well, when he came out of the game, part of me, even though I've seen the other combination before, part of me in my head, I'm like, damn, crap, here we go. Like, oh God. But no, credit to the O-line coach. I think he's done such an amazing job. Like, I keep remembering, it's fresh in my memory, the times that it would only take one single player to come out. Usually he would be Tyron Smith. Yeah. But and whoever it was, everything would just go to crap. Like nothing would work, and now you got Dak getting sacked and Dak having to run for his life. But now we've seen so many different combinations, and like Brian said, it doesn't always work to the level that you want it to work. But it keeps you in the game, and it does enough for you. It allows you to do enough to keep going and for Dak to make some things happen or the running game to do something. But just in general, the fact that they've had so many different combinations and still making it work, and also the fact that they haven't stuck to one single player and just being like, no, let's just keep going this way. No, they understand when it's not working and understand the need to change things up. So that's another thing that I really, really appreciate from the coaching and what they've done this year.
Yeah, and I think further on that point, you think about Phil, but you even think about Mike McCarthy. This is strategic. You think about how they practice these guys where they have them working in different spots. Yeah. You think about how early in the season we were seeing them in games rotating offensive linemen. You don't see that. Yeah. But they always said, and it was something that Mike McCarthy would talk about in his press conferences, you may have to use some of these guys in different ways as the season goes on. So you got to give them credit for foreseeing that this may be a possibility and preparing themselves for the eventuality that they would have to do it.
McCarthy also told Nick that this isn't fantasy football, though, too, one time.
No, Dave. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
He told Dave that.
Like you're talking about moving Martin. You're like moving to tackle and stuff like that. He goes, this isn't fantasy football. Yeah. And I've asked Stephen Jones this question.
That isn't fantasy football.
No, it's not. But the thing about it is,
he's probably played fantasy.
No, I've asked Stephen Jones because Stephen Jones is the same way. He's like, I'm all about continuity. And I'm asking, like, is this just an unusual year where are we starting to see a turn in the NFL NFL where the continuity is not really what it
they
is. You
changed
have
it too.
so many injuries through a year. Continuity is really kind of out the window.
Oh, you say that, and I asked that question to Zach Martin the other day. And
You
I
want
said,
the same five guys?
And I said, does this kind of change your opinion a little bit on the continuity? He's like, no. No, it hasn't.
And by the way,
but he's appreciative of what the guys have done, and he praised Philbin and all that. But his preference would be,
Well, yeah, I think everybody would
Right, I think
prefer
that's
to
the point,
just
yeah.
stick to
Sure.
what you're.
Hasn't
just
changed his
stick to one
opinion.
thing.
Yeah.
Keep doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
But that's also lucky for him, he's stayed in the same position. Like, he hasn't had to move around.
Unless
the
the
one
tackles-
guy.
Yeah.
The one guy.
The one guy.
You know, going back to like just McCarthy too. I don't know where this is going to go in your rundown, but I think that he deserves a ton of credit
Yeah, he
for
does.
getting them ready to go. You got to remember too, like it's not their problem that they haven't won a playoff game on the road in 30 years.
Yeah.
That's not this team's issue. But what does he do? Because most coaches would be like, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
He embraced it.
He leaned into it.
He leaned into it. He said, hey, bring your baby picture. If you're older than 30 years old, I want to see a baby picture of you because we're going to put it in front of the whole team. We're going to show all of this. The last time we won a playoff game, there's Zach Martin. Here's
with a pacifier.
Yeah, right.
His dad holding him.
Yeah, right.
Well, him holding his dad. He's a big kid.
Exactly.
He's a big kid.
Yeah, mowing the yard at age 2.
Probably.
With a diaper on, pacifier, mowing the lawn.
No shirt on. Right. Cigarette hanging out of the corner of his mouth.
That's pretty funny imagery.
Yeah, because I could see. Well, the funny thing is I always thought my son was going to be like Zach Martin.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? No, he's not. He can't block like that. But Roblox.
You don't know yet.
Yeah. But no, but just I thought that was really good for them to kind of say, hey, we're going to just hit this head on, and we're not worried about it, but we're going to have not have fun with it, but just bring some light to it, and just show that it doesn't matter, and it didn't.
Yeah, real quick, let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. This defensive performance last night, they held Tampa Bay to 6 points with 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I'll ask you guys just in general.
Hated the onside kick.
Yeah, right. What was the key last night? What do you think was the key defensively to them being able to just completely shut them down?
Man, I've only seen a little bit of the first half. I didn't get a chance to I'm not working on a lot of sleep here. You've probably seen it more than me. I mean, I thought, though, Micah Parsons set the tone again. He had one of those games where he was just an MFer. I mean, just all game. He was just, you just couldn't block him.
Yeah.
You said Donovan Smith was going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And it was the first series of the game.
Yeah, that just going in, it was one of those things. The Tampa people even knew that themselves, that was going to be an issue for them. I think the difference in this game is you were able to affect Brady in a way with your pass rush. And that goes with Golston, Parsons, Osa, all these guys, they were able to they kept rotating those guys, and the more that the game wore on, where it was like they're not going to run the ball, they're not even going to try to run the ball. When you get Tampa and they don't complete, they try 2 screens that go nowhere, get tipped, knocked away, all that. You're thinking, okay, now you're locked in to what's going on there. I think having Van Der Esch back was huge because of his ability to get to the football. Curse was a MF or two, and so was Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Wilson was not going to let this team lose last night the way that he was playing, and I think that's a real plus to those guys. That I know in the pregame show, and we've talked about it. Make every ball a contested ball, and they did. They made every play that Brady had to throw a contested play, and I think that was going to be pressure. Contested ball. You saw the result last night. Guy averaged about 5 yards of completion, throwing the ball 66 times. That's a Hall of Fame, maybe the best quarterback ever to play this game. And you went out and you made him look really, really ordinary to the point where people are saying, "Do you really want Tom Brady coming playing for your team next year? Yeah. Do you really want that?
Yep.
You want that? Okay, if that's what you want." Yeah.
No, and again, I think having Hankins back and Leighton Van Der Esch. And with Leighton, I had my concerns prior to this game, just because the mental aspect of things. Because I've seen him come back from different injuries from like the neck, shoulder area, and it had taken him a while. Every time, it just mentally, he just wasn't just going out there and tackling without any hesitation. Like there was always something in his game that kind of was always like a step back, but he played so well, and that was not a worried or he was not thinking about his neck whatsoever. He played really, really good, and it's surprising coming back from what even last year, but I feel like maybe the last 2 years, talking about a guy that you're like, okay, should he even be on the team anymore? A guy that
when you signed him back, it was kind of like,
he was trending down, and he just wasn't, having those type of games anymore as you had seen his rookie year. But then the year he's had so far this year has been very, very outstanding. And the fact that he played the way that he did after the injury.
I think what was a really, really good sign in this is usually in these games where it's a physical running team, Leighton Vander Esch is the guy that always shows up. It turned into a passing game, and what was Leighton Vander Esch doing? Having to play from depth, almost like what they call a robber in the middle of the field and kind of like taking things away that way. And usually you don't think of Leighton Vander Esch, the pass defender. You think of Leighton Vander Esch, run, go get ball, see ball, hit ball.
But he broke up 2 passes.
That's what I'm saying.
One of them may have been a touchdown if he didn't get his hands on it.
I'll tell you what, they could have had 3 interceptions last night.
Yeah.
They had their hands
they
easily.
had so many close
Easily
ones.
they had. I mean, they got Brady, his eye level, as we always talk about, was bad. The receivers were – now, Dallas didn't give him any room back there. They did not give them any room throwing that football.
Put numbers to what you were saying, Brian, about being able to put pressure and also being able to contest passes. Last night, the Cowboys had 9 quarterback pressures, second most of any game this season in the NFL. Yeah. Cowboys had 10, I think, earlier in the season. But they also had
probably Cincinnati.
12. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. They also had 12 pass defenses last night. So when you think about that, they had a ton of batted down balls, and they also had a ton of pressure. Like all night they had pressure. And you could see there was so much pressure that even on plays when they didn't get pressure, you could sense that Brady was just getting rid of the ball really quick because he felt like the pressure was coming. So they really affected him, and that's how you have to beat Tom Brady.
The great example of that is like after every play when it was an incomplete, you see Brady kind of, he's like, Tom, you can see he's mad. He's like, run, and you're like, no, dude, you just couldn't get him the ball.
Right.
I mean,
you threw it out there a little bit too soon.
You threw it not to get hit is what you did, All
right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we got to talk about special teams. We got to talk about the kicker. Rough night for him. And to be quite honest with you, if you go out and leave a game where you win 31-16 and the worst thing that happened was the kicker, you're probably in a pretty good position. But we do have to talk about it. We'll do it when we come right back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This week! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
James Wright is your 2022 Cowboys Fan of the Year. Jimmy brings the spice to every Dallas Cowboys game. Brings a nice outfit, too. He needs your help to help him go to the Super Bowl. Vote for James or Jimmy. Be given the ultimate title, NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan. Casting your vote, NFL.com/Fan of the Year. Now, I did see him in Tampa on Monday afternoon. He was rolling around over there by the First Take set, Irvin and Stephen A. and all that stuff. And we were like, yeah, we call you Jimmy. He's like, yeah, no, it's James Wright. I was like, oh, you don't go by Jimmy? He's like, no, not really. But whatever, it's fine. You say whatever you want, it's fine. So
okay,
we're trying to get your votes there, Jimmy.
As long as he's not offended by it, we're good.
Yeah,
James, that was the only person you saw in Tampa. You want to tell everybody about who you saw into the stadium?
Oh my God, that was crazy. So
Hulk Hogan?
No, I wish.
No.
Oh, not only
he was
that,
there.
Not only that,
he was there.
I tell you who I didn't see. I walked down there. I was a little bit ahead of you guys going down on the field before the game. At the end of the game, went down there, and I could tell everybody was looking, did you see? And Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yes. I just missed him.
He's tiny.
Just went over there, and his entourage, look, there he is. I'm like, I don't see him. I see his bodyguards, but I missed him. But anyways, that would have been cool to see Maverick. But before the game,
well, he's tiny. You're not surprised you missed him. Saw him in an auto race one time.
Maybe I saw him. Yeah.
He is. You think he's like 16 years old?
That was somebody's kid, right?
Yeah.
We're walking. I don't know if you've seen this on social media. The video that we posted after the game about
the captain,
and Dak saying I'm the captain. Now Derek is showing me this video. We're in downstairs under the stadium.
This is before the game.
Before the game, he's showing me this, and he's just like. And I know it scares you to think like, oh my God, like hope nobody posts this.
Right, yeah.
Because if we don't win this game,
that better go in the trash somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, okay, if the Cowboys win and Dak has a good game, then we're gonna post this. And as he's saying this, we kind of look up, and man, I tell you, there's one guy by himself.
It's empty. Except for this one person.
No entourage, no camera crew, nothing. Just Tom Brady and his jaw walking right at us, and all the four of us. We had four people with us. Patrick was with us, Ian, and we just stopped. We just like we were 8 years old. We were just like, hey, how's it going? He's just like, hey, what's up? And he just walked on by. And as he's got this video out of this, with a Dak and a pirate hat,
saying I'm your captain now.
He kind of puts it in his pocket.
Captain Phillips still, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
So he walks by, and I really wish I would have said hi. Hey, Captain. But I didn't say that. So we just kept going, and then all of a sudden we look back, and we're like, okay. So then we're going to play this video, and then, it was just fun.
I kind of want to see what would have happened if we would have said, hey, Tom, what do you think about this video? I want to see what you think about this video. We're thinking about it after the game, after we kick your butt. We want to see what you think about this video.
Derek goes, you want to know exactly how to lose this game? You go up to him and just show him, this is what we're going to play after the game, and it would have been
Probably would have been a little different, I'm guessing.
Tom, you're really good with the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about this one?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you can't give him your phone. He might break it, smash it to pieces.
Wow, is that what we're doing?
Obviously,
that's what Brad Sham said last night. He goes, if you can make this a 2 iPad game, then you're probably doing pretty well.
I would say that's Bad Bunny. None of y'all know Bad Bunny.
Who?
Bad Bunny? Most people don't. Here. Yeah. Your crowd, not the right crowd.
What you trying to say?
No, I'm just saying.
Well,
but the thing is, Bad Bunny has this thing where he gets really frustrated when fans come up to him with the phone in his face. So he's kind of known now for taking people's cell phones and just throwing it away or throwing it somewhere else.
And nobody's punched him over there, huh?
No, usually it's people that kind of invade his space. He's like, I'm cool if you ask for it or whatever.
He's
but
a
don't
spokesman.
come next to me and
I get it. Is he a spokesman for Apple now? What is he?
He's doing just fine with all he's got going on.
Yeah, he's got a little loot, I'm guessing.
But,
all right, let's talk about this because honestly, coming out of this last game, there really weren't a lot of things that went wrong for Dallas, but this area went really wrong. Brett Maher goes 1 of 5 on extra points, not field goals, extra points. When you guys are able to look at it, was there anything that was happening with the operation that could have been the culprit here?
I found only one time where Overton snapped the ball inside, and then they had to move it. The last week when we talked about the Commanders missed extra point, great job, Anger smothering it, getting up, laces away, and then you do have to worry about operation. You do have to worry about, is he on the correct hash? For him, that's the correct hash. He kicks the ball to the left hash. He tends to push it right there through the middle, or he can even draw it a little bit. But I didn't see anything where laces were to him. I didn't see any foot slippage. I didn't see anything that would make me say, other than that, it's just it's a concentration problem. You overcorrect, you push one, you hook one. Trying to make that work. But yeah, you have to look at everything. You have to study the timing of it, steps, approach, equipment. I think Christy Scales, we're going to have her on today on 105.3 The Fan, on our show from 2 to 7 today. And I think she's got something that she learned from the sidelines yesterday. So I'm looking forward if, maybe tomorrow we can kind of revisit that.
Absolutely.
But there was nothing on tape that I saw that was just that, that's the issue.
He wasn't good in pregame either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not really at all. And but that was a lot of the long field goals, that you see. I don't really study the shorter ones, but the longer ones, I know he was having a hard time getting it through there. So he never tried a field goal, And I thought there were some times in the game where I was like, there was what is it when it was 12-0, and they got down there about the 2-yard line. They ended up scoring. I guess they would go 18-0. But I think that was the possession where I said, you know what, a field goal here, especially down at the 2 or 3 yard line,
when they
shorter.
Dak ran it in on that play, the play that Dak on fourth,
it was 4th and 1.
Yeah, okay, but
it would have been the third
that's
touchdown.
Not the one.
I know what you're saying. Kick the field goal.
Yeah,
this
was when it was. It was probably 18-0 because you obviously knew there was a problem going on. But I didn't think that way at 6-0. But when it was 18-0, I was thinking, let's get a field goal here, especially a short one like this. Yeah, it was 18 because I was thinking go up 21-0. Yeah. I don't know how did they score to go at 24. What was that touchdown? I have it here. Gallup 2-yard pass.
Yeah.
Gallop 2-yard pass. So that was the one where I was like, be conservative, kick a short field goal, get them on the board at 21-0, because that would probably be easier than your extra point.
Right.
You don't have a lot of time to miss when it's pretty short like that. But they scored. Greedy red zone offense scores again. So.
Was there any point in the game where you thought they should just not bring him back out? They should go for 2? Or do you think it was a situation where they needed to stick with him and keep trying it, even though he dug himself into a massive hole?
And there was a side of me that almost, and I was listening to, I had this thought in my head after the Commanders game, was Greg Olsen saying, why are these guys continuing to play on offense? It's getting worse. What kind of confidence are you building with Dak and the offense as it's getting worse? And I was thinking, no, as long as the score was what it was, keep kicking. And then Greg Olsen came in my head and goes, it's getting worse. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, you made that last extra point.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that
big.
That's the one thing. And I think that guys like Dalton Schultz, I know you guys were in the locker room, hey, we got your back, and he stood up there and answered the questions and stuff like that. You had to, but I'm
just laughing because Schultz. I mean,
okay, don't bring it to the air.
No. I'm just saying Schultz didn't talk to the media. I don't know what the issue there is. Yeah, he did say that with Maher. Gained a lot of respect from Maher for talking like that. Not only talking once, but then twice when the NFL Network shows up. So sorry, we didn't get the first time around. He
seems like he's always been.
He's always been that kind of. He's been a
stand-up
guy.
About it. Yeah.
I think now, and I don't know if you can afford to do this. I don't know if you bring a practice squad kicker on and you have him ready for game day, do you make another kicker on the 48?
Yeah.
Do you? You have those extra call-ups. Can you afford to elevate a kicker? You know? If all of a sudden in San Francisco it's the opening drive and you drive it and you need points and you miss a field goal, do you just immediately say we're going to the other guy? We're not going to go through this again this
week. I will
week.
tell you this. For me, I would feel better if I were the person that was coaching this team having another option. Now, that doesn't mean I have to use them, but like you get into a tight game and you've already had a couple opportunities where you missed, I would be like, okay, I got to have some kind of option other than just going for 2 every time. Like, I've got to have some other option.
I think this week, to me, because it's the short week, today's Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday, and you get a game of Sunday night. You're on a short week right now. And if you have a kicking derby out here, now maybe they won't show the kicking derby out here to you guys. Maybe
they'll go inside.
They'll go inside. Yeah. But man, if we look at the waiver,
kick on grass, please.
Well, but if we look at the waiver wire today or on Wednesday and they brought in 4 kickers, Hiralahu and everybody else that Garibay and whoever else, then now you know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But does that even hurt the kicker's confidence even more?
Can it get any worse though? I mean,
but
I don't know.
He has to know that it's a concern. I mean, you can't.
I don't understand.
You can't get mad about that.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, obviously yesterday was bad, but I feel that
historically bad.
Yes. But he's had such a great season, and I keep going back to, okay, this is not who he's shown us this year. He's been one of the best players on the team, just doing his job and getting it done. At the same time, gotta remember, there are games where people just simply have a bad game and things
Dak
don't
Commanders
click. Yeah. And I get it. Like the kicking thing is a very mental thing. Like we know how much it affects. Like it all it takes is a game
Dan
like
Bailey?
that for it to go down the
Exactly.
drain. Yes. But I do have confidence, and I really appreciate how, even though by the third time I'm like, okay, start going for 2 now. Let's just put that to the side. Afterwards, I do appreciate the fact that the team stuck with it and kept giving him tries and let him at least make that last one, which was very important for him to end that game like that. But just in general, to see the support that the team showed.
Sideline erupted. Yeah. I mean, like Kellen Moore and everything. They're all like, yeah!
I think there were a couple of Bucs fans that even cheer after he made that last one. But I just appreciate the fact that everyone's sticking by him, because again, we've all had pretty bad days, and based on what he's shown us through the season this year, I'm not ready to say, okay, you suck, get out of here. But
please don't miss
get
one
it.
against the
it's
49ers,
the playoffs.
though.
It's the playoffs too, and I get it. I would bring a second option just in case. You never know, but I would stick with Maher this week.
My thing, I agree with you. I think you don't get rid of him because he's had such a good year, but that doesn't mean you don't have a backup option. Like, I think, and to me, it wasn't just one game. If this was just this game and he didn't have the miss in Washington, I might feel a little differently. No matter how bad it was this one game, I might feel like it was just one game.
Well, Washington, the win was terrible.
I get it, but it does for me start to
and the
span
other kickers
games.
suck, too.
I get it, but when my point is, it still spanned 2 games, and that's where I start to say, I'm getting a little bit worried about the mental side of this for him.
Dan Bailey.
And that's we've seen this in the NFL a number of times. You have kicking is a mental thing because all they do in practice, like that's your only job. Every day you're just kicking. So they can do it. It becomes a mental thing at some point where just mentally, for whatever reason, I can't quite get my body to do what I want it to do.
You can't kick. There's such a thing as kicking too much. You can't allow them to kick, to just spend the whole practice kicking. Right. It doesn't work that way. So there's like a limited amount of kicks they make him do. But we'll see how he does at practice. But I think, I don't know what it was last night. I don't know what from the environment.
They weren't even close. They weren't even close.
No,
that's the problem. They weren't even,
except for the one where he hit the upright right at the top.
Yeah, they weren't even.
That's pretty hard to do.
Close. I mean, how bad those kicks were.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow, man. It's a short week. We got to jump right on it. Tomorrow we will be talking about the San Francisco 49ers. It's right here, Cowboys versus 49ers this Sunday evening.
Thanks,
I guess
NFL.
depending on where you are. Back here in Dallas, it'll be a night game, but there it'll be an afternoon game. We'll talk about that starting tomorrow. We'll get into San Francisco's offense versus Dallas defense. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, and Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!